Hello. Um, Welcome. I'm Rotten Reman. I am a salaryman and a BL enjoyer. And today we are going to be testing the limits of my computer. So most of the time when I stream, I stream with Kirby, and Kirby very kindly lets me use his setup. And today I'm going to see if my computer will my 10-year-old MacBook can run OBS and VTube Studio and a small PowerPoint. um so if there's a significant lag or if the audio sounds like shit, let me know and I won't do this again and I will find a different setup. But I am curious about what the quality is like on my 10-year-old computer. Listen, I don't have another computer. Listen, I am on a salaryman salary. It's not a lot. Um but yeah, so since it's the first day of spring, I wanted to do a little recap of all the BL and BL adjacent things. Salaryman work computer. This is not my work. This is not my work computer. Um, my work computer is somewhat better. I am not going to stream BL on it. But maybe they will kindly give me a bonus so I can buy a nicer computer. Everyone, I don't do this, but if you're from my job and you're watching this, stop right now. This isn't for you. I'm sorry, but if you are here, if you are happen to be here, and you want my streams to be better, give me a raise. It'd be nice. So yeah, yeah, it's the first day of spring, and I wanted to just, reminisce of all the BLA read over the winter. Um, okay, so for this first one, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real with you. Um, Honestly, over the winter, what I mostly read was Hip Mic Dojins, specifically Dopo and Hifumi. Um, they're really cute and sweet, and everyone who's out there making Hip Mic Dojins, honestly, you're so beautiful and you're so good at writing. I'm not really gonna review these because I don't. Well, for the first of all, they're in Japanese, and second of all, I don't really know if the Dojins artists really want to me to be putting them on blast like that. But if you're wondering what Hip Mic Dojins I read, it's vastly Dopo and Hifumi. I did read a Matenro one, which was all three of them. I thought that was very sweet. It was from Jacarai's perspective. I also do like Fling. I like Fling Polly a lot. I like Gentaro Dice Ramada, but I'm more picky with them. I also like Ramada and Jacarai, but I'm very picky about those dojins because I like them to be messed up. And I love Jacarai and Hitoya, but there's nothing like I am scraping. If you know Jacarai and Hitoya Jojin, send them my way. I crave them. They are my lifeblood. But there's not that many of them. And also surprisingly, like a lot of them are when they're like in high school, and I like get that they knew each other in high school. I'm like, I want the old man. I want the old men together. I want the old broken men drunk and sloppily kissing. Okay, so to the actual like BL volumes I did, I'm gonna kinda like go through these by like category of like the type of media they are. So in terms of like manga I read, the person who made uh Hi, Cassium T. I don't know what note you arrived on, but I hope it was me talking about me wanting old men to get drunk and sloppily kiss. Oh, also, if you in the chat have yaoi that you want to talk about that you read over this winter, let me know. I'm always looking for like recommendations and stuff. Um, CMT, it was exactly that, yes. Well, I want you to understand what I'm about here, and I'm glad you do. Um, but yeah, so in terms of actual manga I read Daisy Jealousy. It's by the person who wrote Yarichin. I don't think I'm pronouncing this right. I know it's like a pun or something, but Yarichin Bitch Club, which I was surprised about because they're very different tones. To be honest, I don't think I'll ever read Yarichin Bitch Club. I started it, but then because I realized that they are in high school and not college within the first chapter, and I don't know, it weirds me out to read BL like explicit, especially the premise of Yarchin Bitch Club when they're all in when they're like all in high school. But anyway, Daisy Jealousy. It's really really sweet. It's about two 3D modelers who fall in love um like during college and then like have complicated feelings about their passions for each other and also their passions for 3D modeling. My favorite part in it is definitely the part where they have a sleepover and they just talk about all the things that they love about 3D modeling. It's just extremely like it's very sweet and it's really like captures the beauty of like what it's like to share your passion with like another person and like to let that person like not just expand your passion but like expand your world like beyond that. um Cassium T, it is good, it's extremely good, and if you're wondering, it is explicit. The explicit scenes in it are like pretty steamy. Uh yeah, they get hot and heavy at their 3D modeling at their 3D modeling desks, let's just say that. Meowing explicit content sticker on the bottom left corner. Oh, huh. Yeah, well, you know. In case you can't read like me, Cassium T, um, I love Ogeretsu Tanaka's art. Yeah, if you have recommendations, because I'd really like to read other stuff by them because I love Daisy Jealousy, but I do not. If you have any recommendations that aren't Yarichin Bitch Club, please let me know. um, so other one, so the other like manga that I read, and I'm so sorry, I just the image got kind of cropped, so you probably can't read it, but it's called Barbarities. Um, it's kind of it's honestly like not my favorite personally. So the blonde one, his name is Adam. He's honestly really annoying to me. And if you're an Adam stan, listen, he's for you. He's for you. He's not for me. Um, yeah, I just find him kind of annoying because I usually I usually like playboy, like the like stereotype of like, oh, the playboy like bisexual like beautiful man like character who like everyone can't resist. But he's just like, so the dark-haired one, his name is Joel, and so he is supposed to be acting as like Joel's bodyguard, but they develop a friendship and like, you know, and then like and Adam like instantly like falls in love with him, but Joel is like, I kind of just want to be friends. Cassium T said, "Oh, the Z-Man character type." Yeah, it is the Z-Man character type. What is Z-Man's real name? He's from Tales of Symphonia, right? The red-haired guy. I'm so sorry. I only know him as Z-Man. But yeah, so I usually really like that. So his name, Meowing, what his name is Z-Man. So yeah, like I usually do like really like that character type, but the thing is that like he's like, and I like think his like, infatuation with Joel is like pretty cute, but the thing is that like he never ever like thinks about how Joel is feeling like at all. Um and like his name is Zelius. Oh, that's a cool name. That's cool. um I'm sorry, I've just thought of you in my mind as Z-Man when you had this cool name all along. Um but yeah, like even when like Joel like he like even when like Joel is like physically like is very visibly like uncomfortable with him sometimes and like physically recoils from him and he never thinks about like, oh no, like Joel is like not feeling okay about this, or like even like where I know that like some yaoi characters will be like this, and the idea is that like, oh, like you're feeling uncomfortable and that's like turning me on. And like, but the thing is that like he just like the thing is Adam just like never thinks about how Joel is feeling, and it's kind of annoying to me. um Also, like there's a political intrigue plot that's not very good, I'm sorry to say. Again, if you like this, it's for you, it's not for me. I Cassian T said, yeah, it's nice when the character is at least self-aware. Yeah, yeah. um so I will say that like I will say the writer is extremely good at like just putting people in very sexy situations. And I do think that like and I think that like when like Joel is more comfortable, they have like honestly really steamy chemistry. So I'll honestly probably keep reading it because it's kind of hot. Like they're constantly in situations where they're like around a bunch of like decadent aristocrats that are like going to like weird sex parties. And yeah, it's hot to me. I don't know what else to say. Also I will say, so there are two, so the villains in this story have an actually very interesting and compelling relationship, and I sort of wish it was about them. But yeah, so Cassium T said, LMAO, that does sound fun, especially in terms of visuals. Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about the costume design. So Barbarities, like takes place in a fantasy world, but there's not like magic, um, like there's not like magic or like fantasy races or anything. It's honestly more like a pseudo like it's more like a fake European like history. And I honestly think that was like a really smart choice in terms of like costuming, because it allows the creator to be like so interesting and creative like with all the costuming that they get to like adorn the characters with, where like you can see like Adam is kind of more Rococo inspired, where like Joel is more like Middle Ages inspired. And yeah, like yeah, honestly the costuming is top notch. I honestly like, so I'm borrowing the volumes from a friend, and I picked them up because I like saw the cover and was like, I love the outfit design in this. But yeah, so that's it in terms of manga. Um, I'm going to go. Okay, I did read a manhwa. I'm going to go into at the end of this. I'm going to go into like yaoi adjacent things that I consumed over the winter. But for now, it's just like strictly like this is the actual BLTM. In terms of like anime, I started watching Gravitation for the first time, which may surprise some of you that I have never watched Gravitation. I had seen clips and heard some of the music, but I had never and honestly like I'm surprised I haven't watched it. It's honestly like really good. I am not reading the manga at all, so I can't really speak to it. But in terms of the anime, like I really understand why it became such like a phenomenon like in the 2000s. The music whips. And I think the like and I think the emotions between like the two main characters are like pretty sincere. Like I know that also I'm so sorry, I don't remember their names. I'm sorry, I kind of put Gravitation like on pause. I've kind of just been watching it here and there. So I forgot your names. I'm so sorry. But anyway, the blonde one, like even the blonde one who's like a jerk, like I find that like I find like all the emotions in it like pretty sincere and like sweet. Um Meowing. Does the pink one's jacket says boys love behind the gravitation? Does it? Wait. It does. It does say that. Meowing. Oh my god. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I kind of need this jacket actually. Okay, also speaking of costuming, the costuming in Gravitation is like also immaculate. It's very like it's pretty like streetwear and like visual K inspired, which makes sense because like if you're not aware, Gravitation um is about the music industry and like and like a band that's like just starting to take off and such, that's like just signed on a label. The main the singer of that band, the pink one, um starts falling in love with this like a douchey romance writer. Like I love the little details about how he is like obsessed with like who is like obsessed with like American culture for some reason. Like he has like wannabe like Andy Warhol art in like his apartment. He literally has an American car, even though it makes no sense because the steering wheel is on the wrong side for him. He only drinks Budweiser beer, and I think the cigarette brand he smokes is also American. It's honestly like so funny, and it's honestly like so funny and good to me. Like I just think Woodvisor. Yeah, is it called Woodvisor? Woodvisor. Yeah, I think his like bootleg Andy Warhol thing, instead of it saying Campbell's, it just says soup on it. It's really good, honestly. But yeah, I mean, so besides that, like the way that the perspective character, the pink one who's like the lead singer in this band, like the way like again like similar to Daisy Jealousy, like I really like how they like how he like is so earnest about like sharing his passion like with other people, and how like he like where the blonde, like he likes the blonde one a lot even though he's like a dick to him because he kind of like helps him expand his like view on art and stuff, because they are both artists even though in different genres. And I think it's neat. um yeah, also, like the okay, I think his name is Hero. He is my beloved. I'm like I forget. I was watching with a friend and they were like, "Oh, why doesn't the main character date Hero?" And I'm like, "Because Hero is for you to date because he's the perfect man." Okay, now here's where we're getting into the meat of it, where this is where we're going to get into the visual novels. I'm not going to talk about My Dangerous Life because you have like hours of me streaming and talking about it with Kirby. I might do like a little like retrospective review when I'm all done. But yeah, anyway, these are the visual novels that I'm playing, that I played over the winter outside of My Dangerous Life. So, I have been replaying Dramatical Murder with a very close friend of mine who I have been trying to get her to play it for years, like probably like within the first month of meeting her. I was like, "Hey, you should play Dramatical Murder. I think you should I think you'd really like that." Cassian T said, "Hell yeah, I still need to play that." It's so good. Okay, I have rose tinted glasses on it. It's a game that's very it's a game that I'm very critical of, but I was playing it in high school during the worst times of my life, and it was just like this oasis from the horrible feelings I was feeling all the time. So I'm always gonna be super biased towards it and love it. But yeah, I mean, upon replaying it, I really like remember like what was so magical about it. Like it really, really does transport you into just like this world of like the island that they're living on. I'm not gonna give a summary of Dramatical Murder. I'm sorry, but like I just think it's so well known that I don't need to, and also I think it's really easy to look up summaries. But like if you are unaware of it, basically it is like a futuristic um it's like a futuristic like yaoi like dating sim. um yeah, and like um yeah, the world building is honestly like really good. Like again, just like it really transports you into this strange little like futuristic world and island that they live on. Like it includes details about like the class disparity and like how that affects like the daily life of the characters. um like how there's like this detail about how like the roads are like never fixed because basically they're like trying to push out all the original inhabitants to make way to build like this weird like amusement park slash neighborhood for like rich people. So none of the roads are ever repaired, so like it's really hard to like drive a car on it or even like take the bus. So all the characters like walk everywhere, and I really love that as a detail because like it like you have so many like interactions where you're just like where you're just walking around and like talking to people and like running into people in like the beginning stages of stuff. And I just and like where it just really gives you a feel of like what it's like to live here. Yeah, so I we've only played through Kojaku's route. We've only played through Kojaku's route so far, and I really forgot like how good and real like Kojaku's route is. I'm trying not to spoil anything with these like reviews. Meowing. No, we like to hear about all of it. Oh, thank you. Well, if you have questions about if you have any, yeah, if there's anything like during this that you want me to expand on my thoughts, like please just let me know because I literally have no idea what's like interesting to hear about. I'm just kind of, this is a very self-indulgent stream where I am just talking about the yaoi I like. um yeah, so like I really like the way that Kojaku's route is set up, where he's really set up as like this protector, this guy that you can always rely on. You've known him for so long, but then you enter his route and you're like in this new place with him, and he really starts to act different and becomes like this like he really starts to act different and cold and strange like to you towards you, and like starts hiding stuff from you. And like it just feels really real about like what it's like when it just feels really real about like what it's like when you're in a new situation with someone that like you're close to, and then you start like uncovering like new sides of them that you maybe don't like. um not to I'm trying not to spoil, but like Kojaku does something bad to Alba. um yeah, so Kojaku does like something bad to Alba, um, and where the aftermath of it is like so full of shame, where Kojaku is like ashamed of like wishes that like where just the like aftermath of it is just like him and Kojaku just like wishing it could would have never happened, but they have to like go on and move forward. And I think it like you hit some real dark spots in Kojaku's route, and then I think it like really paves the way for it to be like really rewarding in the end when you if you get the good route. And then when you get the bad route, it kind of like, it kind of feels like karma or like catharsis for like, yeah, sometimes shit for just like the results of like the awful stuff. Next we're going to go into room number 9. And it's really hard to describe this at all without giving spoilers. I went into it pretty blind, and I think that's a good way to go into it. The basic premise of it is that they they're these two men um are these two men are best friends and they try to go on a vacation together. And they end up being kidnapped and being placed in a room where they have to do certain acts each day if they want to be freed or even if they want to get food. Um, it's really really good horror writing. In all honesty, it's excellent horror writing. Um, yeah, like I don't again, I don't want to go into too much in this. It's really the scenes are pretty messed up. I'll just leave it at there. I mean, like you can look up and see if you really want to see what goes down, but like I really recommend going into it blind. There's medical horror, there's a bunch of strange sexual acts. How are the men in it? You mean like Nyang asked how are the men in it? Like how do I rate them? Like in terms of like sexiness or like their personalities? Like how do you want me to explain these men? Or like how do you or like how are they doing? Because I'm going to tell you they're not doing great. They're not doing great being kidnapped and trapped in a room. Meowing up for interpretation. The two the two main characters like have a really good chemistry together. They do really feel like best friends. The perspective character is the brown haired one. His name is Daichi. He's honestly so cute and sweet. Like there's a part where he's like trapped in this room where he has to like either get fucked up things done to him or do like messed up things to his friends. Um but like they get served like hamburgers and he's like, wow, like even though I'm in this horrible like situation, I feel really thankful to like the farmers and even the cow who were able to bring me this food today. And I it's just like, baby, you're so sweet. And honestly, it's kind of like interesting to see him get broken. um, they are both this one has quite a few endings. I actually haven't finished but this one does have quite a few endings, and let me tell you, they both get broken. If you like to see men broken, I recommend this one. Um, but yeah, just some basic notes in terms of like things I really appreciate about this game without going into too much detail is that like there's a real attention to physicality in all aspects of the game, like both in terms of like the writing, um the Cassian T said okay taking notes. Okay, like I I really recommend this to you honestly. Like like if you want to DM me for the download, I'll send it to you. I think you would really like it. Um, so, oh yeah, okay. So like the physicality of like both in terms of like the art, the writing, the sound design, there's such a detail to really like feeling the both the like emotional but also the physical experiences that they're going through, which I think works really well for both the horror and and sexual elements. The sex scenes are really hot. It's maybe like this is maybe the best. This is probably the top tier for me in terms of like in terms of like in terms of like sexiness of sex scenes in a visual novel. Like the entire sensory experience is so good. But yeah, and then like also like despite it being a game where you have to do you see all this messed up stuff, like the emotions like are really earnest in it. Sorry I'm saying earnest a lot, but like whatever. It's what I look for a lot in BL is like earnest writing. The emotions are really earnest in it, and like honestly at the core, the game is really about what it means for like you and your friend to like be like growing up and changing and like being afraid of like what that means for your relationship. like I think all the horror and like both all the horror elements and all the sexual elements really are like extensions of like that core theme, and I just think it's like a really I haven't finished it, so who knows? Maybe it'll end up being disappointing, but I think it's from what I've gone through about half of it, I think, and from it so far it's just like a really solid piece of media. I think it's a like I just think it's a really beautiful work of art. I do not recommend it to I do not recommend it to most people. Okay, and now we're gonna get into the star of the show, um, the one, the only, the Hashihime of the Old Book Town. This was really this was like the yaoi. This was the yaoi I was reading over the winter. I finished it all over. I finished it all over the winter. It is a again. I'm trying not to spoil stuff too much. Um, it is a um. It's another horror. No, no. It's not as intense as Room Number Nine, but it is a horror. It is about a um it is about this little scrub right here. Literally a scrub, has no job, like is literally neat, is like mooching off all his friends. It's about this little writer who keeps having to go back in time to try and save his friends. Um and messed up stuff happens along the way. I because this was like the yaoi of my winter, and I have a lot of thoughts on it, and also like the text. This is honestly an incredibly dense text for a porno game. um, like so, it takes place in the Taisho era, and the the writing of both Meiji and Taisho, and I'm sorry, I forget the era that comes after it, but the writing that comes after it are really integral in the game. Meowing said, description online is psychedelic BL murder mystery, which is neat. Yeah, I would I think I would agree with that. The each route has an incredibly different tone, and it almost feels like each route is a different genre. I read a little blog post by the person who did the English translation, and I think they also commented on this about like how like each route it feels like a different genre of like fiction. Um but anyway, sorry, I got off track. But anyway, so I'm going to review each route individually. So strap in. I am going to try to be brief, but we'll see. Oh, and then also for each of the routes, real life, it's a historical BL, and it's like takes the history, like it tries to be like it's basically like an alt history. Like it's pretty grounded in like actual history of like Taisho Japan and such. Um and so there's a lot of IRL books and media that get referenced in in the game, and but there was other Japanese media that I've read, or I've been reading, or I read because of this, that I felt like gave me insights into the game. So for each of the routes, I'm just gonna give a little like complimentary reading suggestion. Um, so the first route is Minakami, your bestest, most beautiful friend. He loves your writing. In all, so in all honestly, I didn't super get this route when I was first playing it. Um, I really felt like there's a ton that I do really like about it. I really felt like it was overwritten. I felt like the pacing was slow, and I honestly through it like really didn't like Tamamori, and that's a little bit I think because I was going through where like so he's like moved away from his hometown, and kind of like doesn't want to talk to like his grandmother who raised him, doesn't want to go back to his hometown at all. like, and is pretty immature about it. And I think I really had a hard time relating to him because I was playing it when I had to go back to a town I grew up in to take care of, to help take care of one of my family members. So I felt kind of like annoyed by him and stuff. So I do think that kind of hindered my like appreciation of the Minakami route at first. And also again, I didn't really like, I felt like it was overwritten. I felt like it was including a bunch of useless details. But after playing more of the game, I went back and replayed Minakami's route, and the game like really like builds upon itself. Like where routes that you encounter later or information that you encounter later, like even towards like the very end of the game, like really affects how you see like stuff you've seen in the past. It's a real like there's a theme in the game about like circular narratives and like endings that aren't really endings, or like endings where like the story kind of keeps going after. And I really think the writing in Hashihime is like that, where like it all feels circular and it feels like it's all building both on like what it feels like stuff that happens later builds on like what happened in the past, and vice versa, of like things you've seen in the past build on um like build up get built upon once you see other stuff, if that makes sense. I hope that does. For Minakami's route, the book Kokoro by Natsume Soseki helped me like understand this route a little more, not necessarily in terms of like how Minakami is feeling, but in terms of like how Tamamori, the like main character, is feeling. um the main character in Kokoro is going through like a really similar experience to Tom is going through, like a really similar like kind of like growing pains experience about like, you know, leaving the country, like leaving the countryside to go to Tokyo. um it also takes place in almost it takes place in a really similar era, where Kokoro takes place right at the end of the Meiji era, so it's like almost in the same time period. um but like where, yeah, he has like like where in Kokoro his dad is sick, and he like struggles with like not really wanting to go back to the countryside to see his dad and stuff, because like the country's I mean, I feel you. Like it's not, sometimes you it's not fun to like go back to where you grew up. But so yeah, I think so. Reading Kokoro helped me empathize with like Tamamori some more, because I really didn't like him at first. Yeah, and then and I think it also gave me more of an idea of like the setting, because Kokoro was written closer to that time period, whereas like Hashihime is more like a retrospective and such. So yeah. Next is Kawase. Kawase is honestly my favorite route. It's really hard to talk about his route without spoiling it, so this one's going to be shorter, unfortunately. But at its core, it is about like at at the core of like Kawase's route, it is like about the cycles of abuse, um, in a way that like in a way that is like both like extremely like haunting and disturbing, as well as like tender and beautiful, like all at the same time, which I think is like, is there any other like, I don't know if there's any other way to like talk about abuse. Something that really a book that really really helped me understand his route more is Almost Human by Osamu Dazai. Almost Human a is a sort of fiction is a semi-fictional autobiography of Osamu Dazai. It's incredibly sad. Um, I do not necessarily recommend it if you are not in a good place mentally. Meowing, No Longer Human. Oh my god, it is called No Longer Human. I'm so sorry. I literally, okay, you know what? You know what's up? Is that in Hip Mike, there is some graffiti that says almost human, and it's a reference to No Longer Human. But I all because but I always fuck it up. I always fuck up the name of the novel for the hip mic trying to reference it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's called No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, I recommend it. Main so the main character in it is going through has experienced like similar like I think feels similar about himself to the way Kawase feels about himself, and I think kind of treats others similar to how Kawase treats others. Kawase is obviously like more of a caricature because he was like not a real person, whereas like Osamu Dazai was real, and he was writing about himself. Um, yeah, I really recommend that one as a complimentary reading to Kawase's route. Next is Hanazawa's route. I'm okay, I'm really sorry. I like couldn't like find a higher quality image of him, and I do have a rip of all of the CGs from the game, but I didn't feel like going through and looking for him. I'm sorry, Hanazawa, except I'm not. um okay, I really didn't like Hanazawa, and I thought he was super boring when I first was playing through it. I literally, when I was replaying Minakami's route, I like skipped through his parts because I thought they were boring. I'm sorry if you like Hanazawa. Um, okay, but I'm saying that, but like it seems like in the fandom that he is like universally hated. So I don't think I have to apologize to him. Okay, but despite my dislike for him, I do have a controversial opinion, and that it's I love the Hanazawa route. Is it because I love Hanazawa? No, I just think it's really well written, though. Um, like I think if you're going into it like wanting a romance and like wanting kind of like a romantic fantasy, it's not good at all. So I can see why people really dislike his route. There is also very explicit like non consensual there's a very explicit non-consensual scene, which I can understand why people don't really like that. Um, but I love his route. The like with the way that Tamamori and Hanazawa like feel, and also just like the themes of his route, I don't think it makes sense for them to have like a nice like sexual interaction. Um, I think that it's important to look at Hanazawa's route like in the context of like critiques of like Japanese nationalism, and also like kind of like the mindset of like Japanese nationalism. Um yeah, as like someone whose like family is from Southeast Asia, it's like pretty refreshing to see media like come out of Japan that is like pretty critical of Japanese nationalism, especially around this time period. Like the non consent scene in Hanazawa's route and the feelings behind it, they really feel like a disillusionment of like a disillusionment of like what it's like to like stop like respecting your country and realizing like the harm that your country does to you, and like yeah, like I live in America, like I feel that. I feel that. And I think it fits well in with like the themes of kind of like, like Tamamori starts off the game like extremely immature and like kind of sheltered and stuff like that, and like in all of the routes he kind of like has to expand his world and kind of like face the darker realities of like what it's like to like be in the world and such. And I think Hanazawa's route is a really good extension of that. Also, controversial opinion, I like the ending a lot. I think it's very weird. I think it's very bizarre. It's haunting. It stuck with me for a while, and I think that's good. Um, complimentary reading for this one, I really recommend Confessions of a Mask. The writer of it, this is another one that's like a sort of kind of fictional autobiography. The writer of it is very controversial because he was a Japanese nationalist and I believe led a coup. Um, but I it helped me understand more because like I didn't grow up in Japan. I don't have like a familiarity of like what it's like to like grow up under Japanese nationalism in like any capacity. So where Confessions of a Mask is very much about like what it's like to grow up like that. So I think it really helped me like give me more of a perspective on like how to interpret like Hanazawa's route and stuff. So anyway, I like the Hanazawa route. Um, Next is Hakase. I adore Hakase. He was my favorite character before I did Kawase's route. And I still love him so much. He's so pathetic. Like, look at him. Look at the way he looks. How can you not just bend him over a table? Um, I definitely okay. His route though, Cassium T, we love a pathetic man. Literally, like before it's even his route. Like the first time you meet him, he like is like moaning, like he's moaning and like on his knees, like like how is he allowed to exist in their world? um, so yeah, for Hakase's route, it's I had trouble understanding it. There is a piece of information that is dropped at the end at the route that I think really changes how you see him, and because of that, it was a little bit hard for me to like figure out what was kind of like going like why he was kind of acting like the way he is because like he acts like where he acts both like really submissive and subservient, but he also acts like very entitled towards like to to like Tamamori's like affection and like time. And like at first I was just interpreting that as like, oh well, like he's like the richest character also in the game. So at first I was interpreting that of like, oh well, like he's the spoiled rich boy, like of course he'd be entitled to stuff. But it's like the psychology of him is like actually so much stranger. And with the and it took me a little while to like kind of understand what was going on with him until I finished the route and was like able to like look back on it with like a full perspective. Um, in terms of like complimentary reading, um, I don't have a book, but watch the like original Godzilla because his character, like Hakase's character, is pretty like clearly a reference to um the one like Hakase character, the other like cuck guy, the other like cuck um eye patch guy who's in the original Godzilla. Um and like it's not that this isn't like as insightful a recommendation, I'm sorry, but I do think that like the original, well, first of all, the original Godzilla slaps, and second of all, like I just think it's fun that his character is like basically like a gayer, more pathetic version of that guy. Okay, and then last we have Kaoru. Um, I'm gonna be real, I don't understand this route. And if you do, please let me know. I don't think this is like a controversial opinion in the fandom. I think a lot of people don't really get this one. I think some things in the route actually kind of like undo like good stuff about the that I liked like throughout the game. Which is like interesting in its own right. Like why did they make this route? What are someone please tell me. um yeah, okay. So that's it in terms of Hashihime, and that was all the like actual, like the capital Y Yaoi I read, or like capital BBL I read for the winter. And now I'm just gonna briefly go over some, like, again, like um literature. Sorry, I thought you meant like lit, like the like millennial slang of like, oh, get lit, and I was like, lit? Okay. um okay, so I don't know. I don't understand his route. I don't know what to say. I think that I really wish there was an English translation of Dogra Magra. Dogra Magra is a novel by Kyusaku Yumino um, that gets referenced in the book a lot. And I think, and it gets referenced again in his route. Um, and I think that maybe that book, if you read, it's translated, so it's a Japanese book. If you read Japanese, maybe you can read that book and tell me if it makes Kaoru's um route make sense. I think it's in French. If you read French, you can do that. I think it's in Russian. It doesn't have it has no English it has no English what's it called, it has no English translation, so I don't know what to say. um yeah, I really don't know. If there is literature out there, or a movie or anything that helps you understand Coward's Route, please let me know, please let me know. Like I do want to understand. I do want to understand it, and I'm like still kind of like thinking through the route, even though I finished it like I think around a month ago or so. Like I'm still kind of thinking through it because I don't know. Well, one day maybe I'll just be walking down the street and it'll like hit me like, oh, that's like what it all meant. But yeah. Okay. Sorry about no Kaoru Lit Rock. So yeah, I'm gonna go through these pretty quickly. So Skate the Infinity, I watched that, I finished that. I hadn't watched it before. It's very good. It's very sweet. I think the stuff with Adam, again, Um, I think the stuff with Adam is weird. I don't really understand. I like it. Like I think the grooming narrative in Skate. Okay, also like a core part of Skate's plot is that like there is like this adult who's like trying to groom the other skateboarders. It's messed up. I think the grooming narrative like kind of works, but I don't really get how they I don't really think it gets like wrapped up very well. Like I don't really understand Adam's like whole arc and stuff. Like it seems like they tried to have like a redemption kind of arc in the last minute, but he's just like but you can't like redeem, like he does such awful shit and is such a vile person that like by the end of it I don't really like feel like you can just redeem him in like one episode, like through the power of friendship or like whatever like anime does sometimes. um but this is not to like be like an Adam hater. Like I do like his like character overall. I think he's like a really strong villain. I just don't really like the way stuff with him gets wrapped up. um Next, we have No Home. This is a manhwa. It is extremely. It's so good. It's maybe my favorite comic that I'm reading right now. It's ongoing, but I think it's finishing up soon. There is one beautiful, dedicated translator who translates it into English. Um, I kiss you. I love you. Thank you so much for this. Because No Home's just extremely good. It is about a bunch of it's about a bunch of high school kids who all have mommy issues and live in a haunted dorm. It has a lot Cassium T good. It's so good. I super duper recommend it. Like my one friend was like trying to get me to read it for like a year, and I kept putting it off because I knew I would get too into it, and sure enough, when I started reading it, I like stayed up all night to like read as much of it as I could. um yeah. Like it is primarily, the creator has said that it's like primarily a drama. It's not really a horror. There is scary shit in it though, so just be aware of that. It gets pretty scary sometimes. Especially if you're like me and you're reading it like in the dark at like 2 a.m. and you're like, "Oh god, the ghost is going to come get me." Um but yeah, I included it on this because okay, so the two main characters, there's a lot of queer themes in it in general that I think are there on purpose, even if it isn't like explicit. Um, and the yeah, and then yeah, and then the two main characters really have like kind of like on and on again, off again kind of like relationship going on. They have like even if you interpret them as just friends, like they have a really good chemistry like going on. There's gender stuff in it that's pretty cool. Yeah, I super recommend No Home. I don't really want to go too much into it because like again, like I went into it blind, and I think that was a really good way to go into it because like the emotional whiplash that this story will give you is crazy, and I don't want to spoil that for anyone going to it. The next thing is that so I have only watched a couple episodes of this, but I watched a couple episodes of the anime of my new boss is Goofy, and you know, Don brand for me. It's about salarymen. I like it. Like it's just very cute and silly. It is. I honestly don't know why they didn't just make this a BL story. It's like it has everything in a BL story except for them like kissing. Like it's like it's like one of those things, but it's not like Skate where there's like other stuff going on. Like it really is just about like the relationship between these two men and them building it to and them building their like getting to know each other and getting to know each other's like quirks and stuff. Like it's very sweet. I haven't watched too much of it, so if it ends up getting bad, sorry about that. So I'm about to wrap this up. I hope if you like this, let me know. I love talking about Yaoi. If there's anything you wanted me to talk more about or talk less about, let me know. Um, but yeah, I'm going to end this by just listing off. I forgot to like make a little visual for this part, but I'm gonna end this off by just like saying some spring stuff I'm gonna read. So, um, so I'm gonna finish room number. I'm gonna for the spring. I'm gonna finish room number 9 because it's excellent. I'm honestly probably gonna stop streaming and go play room number 9. Um, for the manga gamer spring sale, I bought Ultra C, which is by Adelta, who are the people who made Hashihime. I'm really excited for that one. It's another period yaoi um, game, but this time it takes place in the 80s and 70s, which I think is pretty cool. I really like the historical, like I really love how well researched like Hashihime is and how it like really feels like it takes you to like a place and time. So I'm really excited to see what they do with Ultra C. No Thank You is by the people who made um, it's by Parade, who are the people who made Room Number 9, and I really love the I mean, you've heard me gush about Room Number 9, so like of course I'm gonna want to play it. But apparently, so Manga Gamer is a like is like a dojin, not a dojin, sorry, is like a visual novel publisher that does like that translates like Japanese games into English. And No Thank You was the first. So they do a lot of like gal games, obviously. And I think they had done some Yuri games before, but No Thank You was their first. Was the first BL game they ever translated, and apparently it was like overwhelmingly requested. Like they opened up a forum for people to like request what otome and like BL, because they like wanted to open up their audience a little more, I guess. And they opened up a forum to like for people to recommend otome and like BL games, and apparently the forum like one day was just like flooded with like requests for like No Thank You, which does make me very intrigued about it. And then also like, right, I love number 9. And then in terms of manga, I want to buy and read Neon Sign Amber, which is an earlier work by the person who wrote um, Daisy Jealousy. It's another one shot, and it seems like it's more kind of it seems like it's different from Daisy Jealousy, but is more kind of my speed than Yarchin Bitch Club. um, and then the last game. So this doesn't have an exact release date yet, um, but it was announced to be getting an English translation sometime this spring, and it's Quartz Raid, and it is a dating sim murder mystery BL where you are trying to find the person who killed you. And I think if you want to check it out, the art's really pretty. I'm pretty sure it takes place in like a fantasy world. Um, and Cassian P. Nice. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. According to like the Steam description for the Japanese, I believe it's like n- meowing. That sounds neat. Yeah. So according to the Japanese Steam, this the anyway the Steam description, which is in Japanese for the Japanese version because it's not translated yet. I believe that it is not a explicit game. So if that is the case, I will probably play it on stream, probably with Curvy, because um, I love to show him little gay men. But yeah, so we can look. So hopefully that will get translated and is not stuck in production hell or anything. But yeah, that's all I really have for today. To talk. So now I'm going to open the floor briefly. If you have Yaoi that you read and you want to talk about, post it in the chat right now. And I know there's a little bit of a lag, so I'll just sing Dark Paradise or something while I wait. But like I just like I it's really hard to find out. Like I don't know if other people struggle with this, but I have a really hard time finding out about like yaoi releases. So I'm just kind of always like going to my friends like being like, is the like, do you know about new yaoi? Can you tell me about good yaoi to read? So yeah. I am using you to crowdsource yaoi recommendations. Cassium T said, I am a fool who has not read any yaoi lately. That's okay. I mean, honestly, most of the stuff that I listed here is shit that's like super old. Um, a good, so, a good blog to find yaoi news is Blurdy Otome. I honestly read her blog a lot to find out about releases. Meowing said Slow Damage. Have not played it though. Yeah. Yeah, Slow Damage looks really good. So for people who don't know, Slow Damage is by I'm gonna fuck up the name. I never pronounce their name right, even though I love you. Um Nitro Chirao. Um which are the same people who made Dramatical Murder, Togai no Chi, Sweet Pool, all your favorite fucked up yaois. Slow Damage does look really good. Honestly, like I think that the main character is like an edgy artist, right? And I really love that. Honestly, the dateable, like his perspective, like romances look kind of boring to me. I'm Cassie and T said I've been reading books about witchcraft instead. LOL. It have you been reading Yaoi witchcraft? Can you teach me Yaoi spells? So yeah, I think I'm going to end the stream there. Thank you so much everyone for watching. If you have yaoi you want me to like review and stuff, please let me know. I'll read any. Like I'll give anything a shot in all honesty. Um yeah, thanks for joining me on my stream today. Thanks for indulging me in just me recapping the stuff I read. And yeah, good work today, everyone.